Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm not very dressed up. I was just kind of laying down, and I was reading over the bill released by the Senate. After going over it, if if they don't change it, this is it for us. I hate to sound so dire, and it's just think about it. I want to make this point. If you guys have been paying attention to what they've introduced, they have basically introduced a bill for the Americans, which is equal to $1,200 per person single, or 2,400 per um, couple, married couple. So I just want you guys to think about this. My big question that I have in my head is, how do they plan on implementing this? Is it universal? No. So, okay, if it's not universal, what are they planning on doing? They're planning on basing this off of your income. First, your 2018 income, and if you don't have income from 2018, then 2019. And there's stipulations if you make under a certain amount. There's other stipulations if you make over a certain amount. Have any of you ever played an MMORPG? I used to play a lot of video games when I was young, and I kind of stopped recently, but I used to play this game a lot, when I was in high school, Final Fantasy 11, and I've just played, World of Warcraft. I played Final Fantasy 14. I played other games, the Star Wars games. I played. I used to really be into the MMORPGs, which is basically a game. It's a type of game where you play with other people. It's called multi. It's called. I forgot what MMO stand. Multiplayer. What does it stand? I can't even think right now. Sorry, but I used to play a lot of these types of games, and basically, it's just a game where you log on with other players and you play with them, and there can be as many players on as the server can handle. And one thing that has become apparent over the years playing these types of games is crash testing, is server testing, is how much can a server handle before it overloads and crashes. People, these companies release like alpha tests and beta tests and stress test after stress test so they can fine tune the servers, so they can make sure that the server doesn't crash and people are still allowed to get on even if it's at a slowed pace. Like they might implement a queue so people have to wait in line before they can get on so the server doesn't overheat and crash. How many Americans are we talking about here? 70, 80, 90, 100 million, 120 million, 130? What's the number? How are they planning on filing all the paperwork? How are they planning on getting everyone to file for this and to receive it? How are they going to do this? The only logical way that this makes sense to me is they're planning on using a website for people to log on to. Through this website, you'll probably have to enter some information, and it'll connect you probably with IRS or other places, and through this, you'll file your claim to receive your cash payment, which is only one time, by the way. And I have witnessed government websites before. Have you? It's okay. There's too many steps in this. Okay, so even if they automate it, well, if they automate it, that means that the odds, like with it, given the time frame, that means that there are going to be a lot of false negatives and many false positives as well. Which I wouldn't worry about the false positives. I would worry more so about the false negatives. Meaning that if it was automated because of the needed the exponential need to get these checks out ASAP, and they realize that if they don't do this as quick as possible, they're screwed. What I see is a mixture of server crashes, of delayed filings, of delayed paperwork being processed, because how do you process this much information? If they have people processing this information, how many people do you think it would take to process 100 plus million files for these claims? If it's reliant on a website, how many people do you think will be allowed on before the server crashes? How long do you think the queue will be? How much time do you think you'll have to wait before you're approved to receive this check? There is no good answer for this. There is no good answer for this. And that is how we witness the fall of a nation. I believe what I'm saying because our nation is run by... I have to mute this, sorry. I believe what I'm saying because our nation is run by a bunch of old men. Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Donald Trump, all of them are old men who, no offense, their generation was not a generation of technology. They don't understand these little issues that they're going to experience. It almost seems to me as if they're going to launch some website that they imagine magically everyone's going to be able to log into immediately, and they're going to have zero issues, and the servers are not going to crash, and everyone's going to get the refunds on time because everyone's going to file correctly, and everyone is going to do everything perfectly. And oh, there's not going to be a delay. How is... I'm mind blown. I haven't come out supporting UBI in any other videos because it's only a short-term plan for now. There are too many risks to the supply chain that I have in my mind as a bigger concern. And a certain amount of universal basic payments need to be made sooner, the better. But as time goes on, these payments become more and more meaningless to a point where if things get bad enough, who do you think the farmers are going to choose? Do you think they're going to choose money over their own well-being? Do you think they're going to choose the city dwellers over themselves, over their close neighbors and family and friends? How long do you think it will take for them to process all of these payments, for them to decide who gets what and who doesn't? To make sure that no one's abusing the system, or to make sure, again, there's no false negatives and people are not being denied. And if someone's denied because maybe they filed something incorrectly, how much time will it take for them to refile and get it corrected? Do you realize what I'm saying? I promise you there's no good answer to these questions that I have. There's not one good answer. The reason why certain people have been calling for a universal payment is because realistically that's the only way we can get it out sooner rather than later, is if we don't discriminate. And we've lost. Unless Donald Trump himself comes out and says something and makes changes to this and realizes these things I'm talking about, which I think is doubtful, I don't see anything else but a fall. If you didn't see my previous video, this isn't going to happen right away. This fall that I'm talking about, at the earliest 5 months, I would give it 10, 12 months. And if it doesn't happen, that's great. If I'm missing something here, that's fantastic. But now's the time to not rely on the government. Now is the time to not rely on anyone else except yourself. More than ever, I think it's time to change your mindset. I think it's time to realize that at least the potential that you need to protect yourself and you need to take care of your family and you need to procure your food sources now rather than later. And honestly, one of the best ways to do this might be making friends with the farmer. How much harm could it do to at least, I don't know. I wasn't really planning on making this video. I just wanted to point this out. I can't get this out of my head. Looking at this plan, the more I think about it, it's a nightmare. These people can't even comprehend the number of 10 million or 50 million. Their wealth is in their head. They think, oh, I have that much money, so I can comprehend it. But that's not the case. They have more money than they realize. They don't know how much money they have, and I guarantee you, this is kind of a mindset they're thinking of. Is there's 100 million people in the world, and if I think about it like money, that's $100 million, and how do I distribute something to? Anyway, it doesn't even matter. Just fight back against this. Don't let the government pass this. If the government chooses to pass this bill, we're in for hard times. I honestly, if they want to get these checks out within a couple of weeks, I don't see that. I see the first checks coming out maybe a month or two down the road. And that it would be the first wave, which would probably be a few thousand. And then after that, maybe a few more thousand. And what happens after that? After a month or two passes and people still don't have the cash relief they need, they run out of money so they can't afford food. Guys, take care of yourself. No matter what, humanity first.